All right, so very good afternoon to all of you, cherished viewers of Hot Issues, and welcome to another exciting edition of the program. So, the NDC seems to be on fire. First, you heard from Dr. Valerie Sawyer asking the former president, why are you quiet? And why aren't you mentioning the names of those that you think are corrupt within the NDC? She saw some bit of advice for Martin Amidu. And then Martin Amidu fired one back. Well, we're told that some two members of the NDC have petitioned the party against the conduct of Martin Amidu. This afternoon, Hot Issues will focus on one, the happenings within the NDC, and two, this whole debate of a founder or founders, and then find out also the role of Ghana's minority in the current democratic dispensation. I am Winston Amwa, and this is Hot Issues. After this break, I'll introduce my guest, and then we begin deliberation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, so welcome back from that short break, and thanks for staying with us. Now, my guest this afternoon, Hot Issues, is the Member of Parliament for Sanerugu, is a journalist and former Deputy Northern Regional Minister, Alhaji ABA Fuseni. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon to all your viewers across the world. And let me commend you for a very insightful program.
Thank you very much, and I believe you're doing very well.
By the grace of Allah Almighty.
And the economy is
managing under the regime of the elephant.
You're managing?
Under the regime of the elephant.
Things are okay for you?
Oh, by God's grace. We thank Allah when we wake up in the morning, by His grace and His mercy, we are alive and kicking and doing our jobs that the good people of this country conferred on us. To hold the feet of government to the fire of accountability. That is a job that we'll do to the best of our ability and our competence. We'll
come to how you're holding government accountable, but your party seems to be on fire. The NDC. What do you make of all the happenings within your party?
See, when a house has fallen, you don't ask whether the roof is still standing. When you have lost a major election, such as has happened to us, especially very unexpected in the last election, there definitely will be wranglings. But I am comforted in the belief that, like our people say, when you have ever been bitten by a snake and you trip over a straw, you'll be apprehensive because there are lessons that you have already imbibed. And I am very confident that by the grace of Allah Almighty, the NDC is going to come out, emerge from this stronger than before.
Really?
Amwa, this is not the first time. We lost elections in 2000. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
And even in 2000, when we lost elections, it was worse. We had never seen such levels of division in the NDC after 2000. First, we had the issue of the reorganization of the party. And I'm sure you can recall the heat in those days between one of the pillars of our party at that time, Dr. Obeda Samoa, and President Rawlings, our founder. I'm sure you could hear from afar the heat. You could feel the heat of that tension at that time between whether the party should have a solo chairman or we should continue to cooperate with the co-chairman. You remember in the run-up to the 2000 election, we were having co-chairman. So they said that now in opposition, it was not tenable. We had to make a departure from that. President Rawlings didn't feel so. Dr. Obeda Samoa and large sections of the party felt so. We had to go for a heated Congress. And you remember in that Congress, we voted from morning till night to the following day.
Yes.
So very hot issues came. Then reform had to break away. These people had to break away.
Reform broke away before 2000.
That was just around the elections.
No, that broke away before 2000.
Yeah, I'm saying that was just around the corner of the elections. Before they could even, for them to even go and file and contest the 2000 elections. So you could see even in the run-up to the 2000 elections what the NDC went on, and even after. So leading on to that, GFP, even to the point, Nana Konadu went to found her own political party, broke away. But the NDC came back stronger in 2008 and was able to beat the incumbent party, the MPP, in the year 2008 elections. When the current president now was the candidate of the New Patriotic Party, an incumbent party. So I have no doubt that when it comes to the crunch, NDC members and supporters will rise to the occasion.
What's it about Mr. Rawlings and the controversies within your party? He's at the center again.
Yes, I just want to say that President Rawlings is the founder of our party. He's He's played a very great role in the history of this country.
How does he become a founder of a party when the law says you need founding fathers?
Yes, I just want to situate that one. I mean, I think that Dr. Obeda, someone spoke to you this morning.
Yes.
Indicated at that time. But it was, I'm sure it was the membership of the NDC, especially the leading members, who thought because of the inspiration that the party would draw from the values President Rawlings espoused, the party should confer such as. So that one was conferred. It was not like he was a founding father, because at that time, like Dr.
He's not
Obeda
part of the founders of
the
party.
not. He was not. Dr. Obeda Samoa has explained it eloquently. And I think that, but this is where the inspiration that came from. And I think that President Rawlings is a very important figure in the NDC, no doubt about that, and deserves a lot of respect. But Amwa, like I have always said, respect is reciprocal. Respect is mutual. Everybody in the NDC deserves respect. So it is not only President Rawlings. So in as much as all members should accord President Rawlings the respect, President Rawlings must also accord the same respect to the members of the NDC.
And you think he's not doing so?
From leading members to the rank and file to the foot soldier.
And you think he's not doing that?
I think that there are issues that have come up which have made many NDC people worried.
What are those issues?
Yes, Amwa, I want to see that the Gombers have a saying that when an elder is in the house, the grain will not be allowed to be soaked by the rain. It is the wisdom and accumulated experience of the elder that will save the situation and the day for the household. You see, when diarrhea is going around a house, it's looking for the landlord. So if you are a father of a house, so much rests on you. No father would be in a hurry to go and wash his dirty linen in the public.
Is that what Mr. Rawlings does?
So many issues have come up, which I feel, in my own honest, candid opinion, could have been handled in the chambers of the party.
What are some of those issues?
For instance, I hear this frequent resort to the NDC is corrupt. To tie a whole political party with a brush of corruption is not a fair thing to do, especially coming from a leading member of the party. Because when you do that, you have condemned everybody in the party. It may be true that you may have evidence of corruption. If you have evidence of corruption against 1, 2, or 3 people or some other people, why not mention them? You can do that, and like I said, in the corridors of the power, the party, where you have a more sanitized environment. You remember the legendary saying of President Kufuor, when in his infamous Wawa speech, he said that corruption started from Adam, and that he will not go after members of his party directly, so that would destroy his party.
And you think that was?
I am not saying that.
You think that was a fair comment?
No, I'm not saying that you should not, because the NDC has already demonstrated it. It is only under President Mahama that a government that is still in power had members and sympathizers being prosecuted in court, such as happened in National Service and some other places. It has never happened in the history of this country. No sitting government has had its member prosecuted. Never in the annals of our country.
As in the members of the government? Malam Issa was prosecuted.
Malam Issa was not an MPP member.
But he was a member of the government.
He is not a member of the MPP. I'm talking about a member of the party.
So then you're clarifying,
because
member of the party.
It was convenient to sacrifice Malam Issa as a scapegoat for the MPP to cleanse and reinvigorate itself.
You support the challenge thrown to Rawlings by Dr. Valerie Soya?
So I'm saying that matters such as this, and especially to bring out issues of corruption, to comment about allegations of corruption within your party, and then you allow a current government now where corruption is reeking to the high heavens. Corruption within this government, within 7-8 months, is unprecedented in the annals of our country's history.
Really?
Naked, blatant corruption.
What
Daylight looting in places like Bost, where 5 million contaminated fuel was sold off in such a blatant and lawless manner.
It's under investigation.
My brother, ever since the committee was inaugurated, you saw it was the same government that came to read the BNI report, a so-called BNI report, vindicating the chief executive, who is at the helm of affairs and who is responsible for all those other issues that came up. Blatant acts of corruption.
They say that was what they say that is what he came to
I would have been happy after saying those things. The father will also mention that even today he is even saddened that even a government that is barely 7-8 months old is supervising such high levels of corruption.
Are you doubting the loyalty of Mr. Rawlings to the NDC?
No, I will not doubt. But I'm just saying that, you see, Amwa, if everybody is red and you alone, you squat, and they come and find something there, undisputably, they say you put it there.
That's doubting him.
So I'm saying that, no. That's why I'm saying that sometimes the utterances can give either a mistaken impression of what you are not intending to do. Because many people would have intended that after speaking about these issues of corruption or allegations of corruption, you will also make reference to what is happening now.
So let's get
especially so now.
So let's get the clarity here.
When it is funny.
Yeah, so let's get the clarity here. Mr. Rawlings has tagged the NDC as being corrupt. You say there's corruption under the NPP. He's not doing so. What does that tell you about Mr. Rawlings?
Yeah, what I'm saying, that for me is curious. Because if you are, number one, you are fighting corruption on all scores. It doesn't matter whose regime. It doesn't matter whose act is God. If it is corruption, it is corruption. And you speak with the same passion and zeal. And I would have even thought that as a politician, you even speak with more passion and zeal if it is not your party, not your government. Even as you comment on allegations of corruption within your party. You doubt Mr. Rawlings' commitment
I'm saying that commitment, to the fight against corruption?
If you can find feathers to pluck from the tortoise, what will you do when you get a foul? So I'm saying that it's important. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to pass any judgment. But I'm just saying that
put the pieces together. You're questioning him.
No, I'm stating facts. And unless you tell me what I'm saying are not factual, I'm just stating facts as they are. I have not questioned anybody. I have not questioned him. I'm just saying that one would have loved to hear, and I would have loved to hear him speak on the issues of corruption that I've made, on the scandalous Ken Bond, the 2.5 billion, which has widespread ramifications for generations yet on.
Maybe he doesn't see anything wrong with that.
Really? These blatant acts of corruption, insider trading, conflict of interest. The government says it's going to investigate Ameri.
That hasn't been proven yet.
You say you are going to investigate Ameri. Ameri buys tickets for these additional committee members to go, buys plane ticket, give them per diem, gets hotel for them. Blatant acts of corruption. You were here when the fracas between Mr. Bugri Nabu, Northern Regional Chairman of the NPP, and Otiko Jaba. Issues of serious corruption were raised. Issues bordering on murder, where they said that they had murdered. Mr. Nabu said he is aware that some names in the NPP were responsible for the murder of the Upper East Chairman. My brother, do you apologize for criminal statements?
You expect the police to arrest him.
Exactly, and they are not doing so. That is why I'm saying that there's pervasive
Take the police on.
Pervasive lawlessness in this country. Yes, and I'm sure maybe we'll have the opportunity to go into that. Where you see as a result of the culture of impunity this government has created.
Do you support
pervasive lawlessness across the country?
Do you support the challenge thrown to Mr. Rawlings to name the corrupt persons within the NDC?
I would be happy because you see, as a member of NDC, if anybody said that NDC is corrupt, all of us are collectively tied with the branch of corruption, which is not fair. It cannot be that everybody in the NDC is corrupt.
The resultances of
because if you say that everybody is corrupt, so everybody, including himself, because he's an NDC member. Martin Amidu says NDC is corrupt. He's also corrupt because he still says he's an NDC member. So you are tarring everybody with the branch of corruption. Is that fair?
On that note,
I think that is not fair. And so I just want him to be fair and also to ensure that in the statehood, nobody is entitled to a false reputation. If your reputation is that of an anti-corruption crusader, you must crusade corruption wherever you find it. But in the face of blatant acts of corruption, you are looking at it and not saying anything. I think that is problematic.
That is problematic. On that note, we go for a short break. Stay with us. We still have Alhaji Abiye Fuseni in studios. When we come back, we'll find out more. Then we get to look at issues of the minority and issues of Founders Day right here on Hot Issues, and I'm Winston Amwa. We'll be right back. All right, so welcome back from that short break, and thanks for staying with us. This is Hot Issues, and I still have Alhaji Abiye Fuseni here with us. So let's get to, you talked about Martin Amidu's bit. Now, you have some persons petitioning the party to take sanctions against him. You support that?
Let me first and foremost land on this note, that let us all be cognizant that as NDC members, we must show utmost respect and courtesy to one another at all levels, from the leadership down to the foot soldier. Let us endeavor to show respect and courtesy to one another, even as we discuss our differences. And more importantly, let us resort to the party structures to ensure that issues pertaining to the party are dealt with at the party level. There are structures and procedures within the party. Let everyone endeavor, everyone from the founder down to the foot soldier, respect the structures of the party, so that we deal with issues in a very candid, objective, and dispassionate manner that will propel them. Because today, after 7 months in office, this government is showing such glaring acts of incompetence and insensitivity that the good people of this country will be yearning for the NDC.
Should Martin Amidu face the party's disciplinary committee?
Let me come to that. I've already said it, that as members of the party, we are bound by rules and regulations. The party has a constitution. So if you went out there and made statements that impugn the integrity, that debase the image and integrity of the party, that brings the image and integrity of the party into disrepute, you have to answer for it.
Okay.
Because you are aware that irrespective of the fact that freedom of speech, you are allowed freedom of expression to express yourself in whatever manner. It is not an unlimited right. It's not an unfettered right. It is bound by certain regulations and laws. As far as you are a member of the party, you are bound by certain rules and regulations.
Would the
NDC
of the party be better without Martin Asiedu?
Let me say that a party will always be better with all its membership intact. But there comes a time when the membership of when especially they've shown a knack that they are cooperating with the other side. And I can say that if you see what Martin Asiedu is doing now, he's more predisposed to the MPP than even the NDC, which he claims is his party.
You don't think he's still an NDC member?
He's consciously running the NDC down.
How do you prove that?
These utterances. How do you tar a whole party with a brush of corruption? He comes and says the NDC is corrupt.
Is he not right in the things he says?
He's very wrong. In fact, not only wrong, I would say he's mischievous. Because you cannot say a whole political party is corrupt. Who in the NDC have you substantiated allegations of corruption?
He said the NDC superintendent over corruption.
So let him name those who are corrupt. And he said he calls himself a citizen vigilante.
Was your party able to fight corruption?
Let him name those people and go ahead and use his citizen vigilante status and go to court. If he's a man worth his
when
salt,
you had an attorney
he should
general
have
who
gone
could
to
have done
court.
that.
So that the evidence.
But he's gone to court with Waterville. He's gone to court with Sofoton. He's gone to court with Boyome. He has shown that he can do that.
Those members of the NDC, he's not gone with members of the NDC that he claims are corrupt. He should do that.
He took Boyome to court.
And stop the mischievous things that he's doing, trying to run down the party. His agenda is to run down the NDC in the hope that you will propel his MPP, his newfound love for the MPP, so that they will find some position for him. Now, the craze in town is to talk very nice about the MPP so that they can find some post for you. That's what is happening.
He's become a liability to the NDC?
He's not an asset to the NDC. That one I can see for now. Because his utterances and his behavior and his countenance and his posture is contrary to the interests and aspirations of the NDC. And I think that those who have referred him to the disciplinary committee have done so on the basis of certain stated misbehavior that the party will look on. I will not pronounce any judgment now because it's the prerogative of the disciplinary committee of the party to do that. And I'm very confident that they'll look at it and arrive at the appropriate conclusion and the appropriate sanctions. I think that discipline must be the word. Nobody has a right to just get up and inflict that kind of collateral damage on the party.
Mr. Rollins has also called you names, has called the party names.
I'm saying that no one single person is above the party.
Including Mr. Rollins.
All of us, everybody in the party is subject to the discipline and the interests of the party. And so I'm saying that anybody who makes any statement must be conscious that the party can ask him to come and substantiate.
What of Mr. Rollins?
I've just made a statement that nobody is above the party. If I'm wrong, you can correct me. But I'm saying that nobody is above the party. The party is supreme as far as everybody, every member is concerned. And so let us all take due cognizance of the party so that in our utterances we'll be minded that we are members of a party and we are bound by certain rules and regulations of the party.
Would you support a petition against Mr. Rollins also?
It is not about my personal decision. It is about the interests and aspirations of the NDC. And so I will not single that.
And if you consider the interests and aspirations of the NDC, do you think Mr. Rollins should also be spoken to and made to substantiate those allegations he's been making against your party?
I would wish that we all acted in a manner that will project the image and aspirations of the NDC in a better light than pronouncements that will bring the party into disrepute. Pronouncements that will collectively tar the whole party with a brush of corruption or negativity. That will undermine the forward move of the NDC. The NDC is in the process of rebuilding, reorganizing. And I don't think we need these kinds of diversions. I'm aware it is in the interest of the MPP to sow as much discord within the NDC. And we are hearing so many things.
What have you heard?
About people who are going to be thrown down to cause maximum discontent within the NDC, so that we say, like we are, there's unending levels of infighting, so that the MPP can have a field day. I can tell them, I'm sorry to disappoint them. The NDC will bounce back very strong, committed. And as the minority in Parliament has already shown, very focused.
I'll get to the minority in Parliament.
And winning the feet of government to the fire for
the minority in Parliament.
over the rot and hardship they are inflicting on Ghanaians.
I'll get to the minority in parliament, but since Martin Amido is not an asset to the party, should he be sacked?
I just said that the matter is currently before the leadership of the party, especially the disciplinary committee. And I as a loyal member of the party, I don't need to make any comment on a matter that is before such a very high.
Except that you think his newfound love is the NPP.
I want to believe so, that he's more comfortable with the NPP today. He speaks for the NPP. He says things that are in favor of the NPP, and his interest is to cause maximum turmoil within the NDC. That is true. I think I will say that anytime.
Are you happy with the actions of with a letter or article by Valerie Sawyer? You like the things she said, the challenges you threw?
She's a member of the party and has spoken her mind.
You support the things she said?
Whether I support it or not is not the issue. The most important thing, like I said, members of the party are free to express their minds, except that, like I said, it must be done in a decorous manner. It must be done in a manner that looks at the interests and aspirations of the party. And that one, the larger members of the party will judge. I'm sure that you have been on social media. You can best judge whether it's resonating well with the party or not. You can see it. But I am just saying that whatever issues any member has to discuss, first, please let's recognize that we are members of the same political party, bound by the same interests, bound by the same aspirations. Let's use the structures of the party to resolve party issues. Where in the unlikely event you want to even go at, be decorous. Do so in a very fair, truthful, and balanced manner with the supreme interest of the NDC in your mind when you are speaking. Not to do something that will injure the integrity and the image of the NDC in the eyes of reasonable members of this society. I'm sure once we get all these things done, I'm sure that we'll be home and dry. And I want to believe that, inshallah, the NDC will bounce back, and inshallah, in the 2020 elections, the NDC will bounce back to power.
There are many who believe the minority is not doing much. There's some who think the minority is disappointing Ghanaians. They're not holding this government accountable enough.
I'm sure that if you were to do an opinion survey within the ranks of the National Democratic Congress, even in the MPP, who are our sworn opponents, they will tell you that this current minority in parliament under the leadership of Honorable Haruna Iddrisu is one of the best. This minority within this short space of time has exhibited competence, not just on the floor of parliament, but generally in holding the feet of government to the fire of accountability. All these issues of malfeasance, lawlessness, and others have been exposed by the minority. There are many issues that have come out. Look at this 2.25 billion scandalous bond the MPP went. The cooked bond they did for Franklin Templeton, which has saddled this generation and generations yet unborn. From 2.25 billion, we'll be paying over 10 billion at a very criminal interest rate of 19.75%. Even short-term bonds don't even attract that. Short-term bonds as at May this year, we're taking about 16.5%. You say you are borrowing to retire short-term maturing debts of 16.4 or 5%, and you are borrowing at 19.75%. If it is not MPP with this kind of voodoo economics, who will be borrowing at higher interest rates to service maturing lower interest rates? It doesn't make sense.
The last time you issued a local bond, what was the rate?
That's what I'm saying, that if you are doing with short-term, and make the distinction, short-term interest bonds attract higher interest rates than long-term. So nobody would have expected a 15-year bond, like what they did for Franklin Templeton, to take 19.75% of that quantum, when you could have gotten similar distance in the open market at lower rates. Per our calculation, we are short-changing Ghana by a minimum of 3.4%. If we calculate the minimum of 3.4%, or the 2.25 billion, you are taking about 330 million Ghana cedis a year. Okay. Multiply that by 15. You are talking of billions of Ghana cedis, which is as a result of this scandal that we have on our hands today. This one was cooked for Franklin Templeton. It was done as an insider trading because all other participants were not informed. Within a matter of 8 hours, they had completed the bond. When the
minister says that was not the case.
When he came to parliament, why didn't he prove that? He was asked to come and submit documentation. At least all of us can read. The MPP cannot tell me that me sitting here, I can't read ABCD. So all that we ask for by our minority leader was that
petition the
give
US,
us. I'll get to that.
So why don't you wait for them to
give us a copy of the bond, the agreement you read with Franklin Templeton. He came to Parliament and only did photostat copies of bonds the former finance minister, Mr. Tepe, submitted. He didn't bring any document to Parliament. It was a sheer waste of Parliament's time. He didn't come to do anything there. And to date, the outstanding, we have been strengthened in our resolve that even from the non-performance that he put up in Parliament, that's strengthened about there's a scandal, they have everything to hide. That's why in subsequent matters, the subsequent bond issue, the international community ran away from it because money doesn't like noise. And this scandal that they are perpetrating is the same thing happening. Look at the same scandal they are perpetrating at Bost, where even the MPA came to say that Moving Pina, which got all the 5 million contaminated fuel, was not even a registered company. The transaction was done on the 19th of May. Moving Pina was registered on the 29th of May, 10 days. But they went and bid and got all in fact, it was a sole bidder because no other person bid it. They had the insider information, went and...
Bost said others also bid for it.
National Petroleum...
But Bost has come out to say there were other companies.
Which companies?
But, well, you should...
They are fair to name. We asked them.
You're a member of Parliament.
We challenged them with other companies. They couldn't come up with any company. It was a phantom story. You see, and I'm telling you that the scandal... Look, you contaminate. First, they tried to say that the current chief executive was not in office. It's not true. He was in office on the 17th. He was introduced to the staff.
That memo, we are told, is not right.
It is right.
The Minister of Energy says the Minister of Energy, under whom he works, says he started work on the 23rd.
It is not true.
You
even know that even some of them were.
You have evidence to show that he started work on the 17th. Where is the evidence?
That memo is authentic. It came
How
from
do you prove the memo is authentic?
We have copies of them.
You have copies of them from where?
Yeah, we have actually look. Even the memo Albert Obing. He signed it he wrote the memo with a green pen. We have copies of it. Where he sanctioned the sale of the thing solely to Moving Pina.
He's not said he didn't sanction the sale.
Yes, he sanctioned it. And it was not...
Yes, he's not denied that.
Yes, but he should have gone through the process. There's a procurement law in this country. He should have opened it for bids. He didn't do that.
We're told 25 million litres were sold over the last 2 years.
He fell foul of the laws
when
of
your
this
party
country.
was in
Even
government.
if he sold 1 litre outside the Procurement Act, it's an infringement of the laws.
25 million was sold when your party was in government under the same processes.
It is not true. And
that you do not believe?
It was not. There's a difference between slop and off-spec.
Unfortunately, no, hold on.
What was sold was slop, not off-spec.
Slop.
Yes.
Honorable Ibi, slop.
Yes.
Sledge. Contaminated fuel.
Yes.
Now, you cannot have you cannot have about 1 million litres of slop or sludge.
Yes.
The experts have said it. Then
yes.
I've spoken to Dr.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
What we've had in 2 years is 25 million litres. And that cannot...
That figure can never be true.
Oh, now you're doubting
You see,
it?
yes. I mean, you see, you know these people. You see, they signal left and turn right. That's typical MPP for you. When they are caught at this, they can conjure figures. Even today, there is an issue of doctrine of figures against the finance minister. There was a press conference by even the minority. All of a sudden, they are manufacturing figures to make themselves look good in the mid-year assessment. Even revenue that was generated under NDC, they are transferring it to themselves. Payments that were made under NDC, they transfer it as if it was made under their regime. They are doctrine figures. I'm saying that these are the kinds of people you are dealing with. And they are not transparent. They are not honest with the facts. And within the last few days, Ghanaians are beginning to know them. Look at the plethora of empty promises they made. That within 100 days, they come to power. This country will be a land flowing of milk and honey.
They said they
money will be in the pockets of people.
103 achievements in 100 days.
My brother, a lot of them were funny. Anyway. Even Dr. Bawumia, if he had realized that even a goat had delivered at veterinary, Port-Tamale veterinary, he would have added it as his achievements under MPP.
Well, that's very unfair to Dr.
It's not unfair. They were claiming also, look, one of the achievements was that nursing training forms under NDC was sold for 160. When they came, they reduced it to 100. Well, and that is an achievement. What kind of funny this is this?
Unfortunately,
it was like a chess play.
Our time is up, but I mean, you can't go without giving me 2 or 3 of your proverbs. I mean, you are known for your proverbs. You've given a few already, but just before we wrap up, 1 or 2 proverbs from you.
You see, yes, I was just saying about the MPP. You see, today the country is lawlessness is pervasive across the length and breadth of this country. President John Dramani Mahama handed over a peaceful, orderly, and stable country. Today, people cannot sleep. And that is why we say that if you send your son to the hereafter, you may not recognize him.
If you send your son to where?
To the hereafter.
You may not recognize him.
You will return, but you won't recognize him. If you transform your son into a monster, you'll be among the first to be devoured. They have created monsters through the culture of impunity, where they allow MPP people to infract the law, to engage in infractions of the law, and they cannot touch them. You see the Delta forces, the invisible forces, they are wreaking havoc the length and breadth of this country, and nobody, because they cannot touch them. They are afraid that any policeman who goes to arrest them, they will deal with you, you will lose your job and others. So that's why we have a culture of impunity pervading the length and breadth of this country. And this country is no longer safe.
Thank you very much.
So Ghanaians are now seeing what? Let me give you the last one.
Give me.
You don't realize the importance of your buttocks until you have a boil on it. People are now realizing the importance of the work President Mahama did. Okay. And they are saying that, oh God, we made a mistake. The NDC will come back. Thank you very much,
Alhaji ABA Fuseni, Member of Parliament for Sanerigu and former Deputy Northern Regional Minister. He's a member of the NDC. That's all from us this afternoon. Hot Issues. My name is Winston Amwa.
And I also speak for the minority as the ranking member on communications.
On communications, yes. We should have touched on the right information. Unfortunately, our time is up. But that's all from us. Thank you very much for joining us. And make a date with me on Monday on 3FM 92.7 from 5:55 to 10 a.m. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.